There we go. All right, guys. All right, guys. All right, guys. Today I'm going to be talking about self improvement slash self harm. What's the difference? Um, in regards to climbing specifically, rock climbing. You can use this for exercise. Um, it's a little weird because most of the time I listen to people, and here it's like I'm telling you guys my opinion on things. So I climbed. I've been climbing for about like 5 years. I just started back after about like 2 3 years of not climbing. Um, when I first I lived in Tokyo for 2 years. About 2 years ago, I came back 2 years ago. And I got very into climbing, and it started off. I had a whole regimen. I would go 2 days a week for an hour, I think was the start. And then I after a month I did 3 days a week for an hour, and then I bumped that up to 2 hours 3 days a week. And eventually I got to 5 days a week for 2 hours. And I started getting injured. Climbing is very intensive on the fingers. You really don't get injured by falling, which is what most people are scared of. But having like all of your body weight on a rock, it puts a lot of strain on the fingers. And if you look at like great climbers, the strong climbers, it's pretty normal. What I do is I look at their hands, and a lot of the times there's tape on their hands, and that's because they have a finger injury, and and when you tape it, then it you can ideally heal the wound and continue climbing. Um, so it got to the point where I had like at least two pretty bad finger injuries. I went to the doctor. He said take a break, and I said, "Can I please climb?" Please. And he said, "This is a Japanese doctor, so like the language barrier is really bad." And he just said, "Okay, okay, you can climb." And so I got the okay. Um, and it got to the point where I was climbing in Los Angeles. I was in vacation. I was in Los Angeles on vacation. And I had like, I swear, I had like three, no, I had two fingers taped up. Um, and I was doing this pretty difficult problem, and I reached up as high as I could, like my full height, and all of my body weight was on just two fingers. Because if you're taped up, you're not using your whole hand. So I had two fingers taped, and so that they're not really doing any work. So it was just these two fingers doing all of the work, and I just like completely fucked up my hand. To the point where like so I was at this point where I said I'm going to climb. I'm going to get as good as I can. No matter what happens. I don't care how injured I get. If I get injured, then I will take solace in knowing I got as good as I could, and I went as hard as I could. And actually, the goal was for me to become like an amateur or professional climber, um, because I was like 26, and so you have until like 32, I think, or 31 to become like a professional climber, and after that, it's tough. So it's like this mindset of being number one. And if you're going to be number one, then my theory was like I can't take breaks because there's a time limit, etc., etc. And I basically messed up my fingers so bad that I couldn't climb at all, and that was it. And I was devastated because climbing was one of my favorite things. Um, and I had reached the point. I mean, right? Like that was the goal, is that I'm going to keep going until I get so injured that I can't do it. So now that I'm climbing again, I injured. I don't know if it's an injury, but this this finger is bruised. Friday was a pretty intense climbing day for me. This finger's bruised. I could tape it up. I could tape this up and keep climbing. There are some options. I could tape it up, keep climbing. I could go to the climbing. I could climb on Monday, and I could not use. I could just there's like this train. There are ways to not use this part of the finger. Basically, I could just use like the tips of my fingers for a little um on these like these wooden boards. It's not actually like a route. It's just you're climbing these wooden boards for finger strength. But my inclination is to just not go Monday. To wait till Wednesday till there's no bruise, and then keep climbing. I think that if I tape it up, there's still going to be pressure on the bruise, so that's not going to solve the problem. So let's take out taping and solving the problem. That's not it. So I do have two options. I can go do the wooden boards. That seems fun. And I'd get some finger strength. And like, anyways, this is like great self-improvement for me because I'm listening to my body. Before, I didn't want to believe that there were like limitations to how far I could go. And now climbing for me isn't really about like how good can I get. It's more of like a church, a sanctuary, um just like a peaceful place for me to go. I don't even time how long I go anymore. I used to go 2 hours no matter what. Which has gotten me into thinking like what is self-improvement? How how important is self-improvement? And like, yeah, is the goal to be number one? And it feels really good to want to be the best, to want to go as far as you can go. I still have that in me. It's impossible to take away the drive that I have in regards to writing or backgammon or relationships. But it feels to me like there are okay, so like writing for example, I want to make it as best as I can, my short stories. Backgammon I want to play as well as possible. But climbing, there are things in my life where maybe it's not about being the best. Maybe it's just about having fun, kind of getting lost in it. I played this I played this video game called PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. And I had teammates. I had teammates every time. And they were my friends. And they were never as good as me. And I was like the leader because I knew the best stuff. I was watching these videos of the best players playing, so I knew the game better than most. And as a leader, I bossed people around. I was basically a bully in a way. I didn't listen to my teammates because what do they know? They don't know as much as me. And it was either my way or the highway. And then when my teammates would say like, "Hey, you can work on this," I wouldn't listen to them because I was watching streamers, and streamers tend to be, a lot of them tend to be pretty stubborn, headstrong. It's pretty common for like leaders in video games to be bullies. I mean, I think even like Kobe Bryant was that way. It's kind of my way or the highway sort of thing. Um, But I don't think that's like what a leader is. A leader listens to his teammates. And I also think that ideally there really isn't a leader in a team, that everybody gives their opinions and everybody's opinions has equal weight. Um, that seems to be like where esports is headed, at least like in the beginning you had Cloud9, this team Cloud9, and there was this guy named High, and he was the shot caller. Everything he said is what people did, and it didn't last. And now I think what you're seeing in League of Legends is teams not necessarily having one person. You're seeing the whole team kind of work together as a group. Anyways, when I was with Megan, for example, my ex-girlfriend, I played fantastic backgammon by listening to what she said. She didn't even know how to play backgammon, really. I was teaching her. But I would listen to how she thought, and if you listen to a brain that's different from yours, they're going to have a different perspective from you. And then you're going to see different possibilities, and that's how you find the best answers, by looking at the different options that you have. If you only listen to yourself, you only have like what, one or two options, right? Um so I played this game Battlegrounds, and I was so pissed off that my teammates weren't as good as me. They weren't putting in the time as much as me because they have jobs. They're running businesses. They have families. Um, I mean, okay, for my side, I could have gone to Germany with my teammate into a tournament. Like we could have qualified for it, and he couldn't put in the time for that. So like we could have gone to Germany, man. Like what a bucket list sort of thing, and he didn't want to put in the time for it. So that was upsetting. But the point is that I excluded everybody, all of my friends, because they weren't good enough, and they pulled away from me because I was bullying them. And I just played this game on my own. And I achieved, with my teammates, I achieved top 500. I would say like top 450 in duos. On my own, in solos, for the ranked version, I reached number 76. So that's like achievement, right? Achievement at all costs. But I was fucking lonely, and I was miserable. I didn't even have fun playing the game because there are boring parts of a game, and during those boring parts, when you have a teammate to talk back and forth with, it's like it's the banter, it's the friendship, it's the bond that makes you have fun. When you're alone, it's today I'm gonna be playing alone, and it's not as fun as playing with a friend. Um. So, anyways, that's the point. Is like throughout my life, it's always been achievement at all costs, and it puts everybody out of the way, and then I end up like at a very high level, and I quit. I either get injured, or it's so miserable with PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds that I don't want to play it anymore. And maybe if I had had teammates, I doubt it. I doubt that I could have gotten number 76 if I had kept playing with my friends. But I would have had fun. And I would have gotten better as a player too, because I would have kept playing. So even if didn't show up in the rank, my skill actually would have improved. Just because I would have been playing for a longer time. So I think the lesson here is, for me, is to like listen to what other people, listen to your teammates, listen to your body, listen to what other people are saying. Don't think that I don't I don't think that I always have the right answer. I don't think that I'm always correct. And just have like an open mind. And I will see where that takes me.